Good morning, guys.
Good
Morning.
There. Morning, Bridge Nation. It's a new day. Jody had to remind me of the date. Did I get it right when I said 15th?
Yes.
Of July. Wow. We're at the middle of June.
Yo. We're ready.
I know, so I can't tell you why I make a mistake there. July is a definitive month. All right, so what's going on? It's nice and cool this morning, it seemed. I thought it was kind of cool coming down.
Yes, it wasn't so bad this morning.
A lot happened in Spanish Town yesterday.
Richie.
My God.
Wow, man.
Yeah, the place get hot.
Man.
Yeah.
You saw the video?
I saw some videos.
Oh my goodness, man.
Oh, man.
Boy, I mean, know. We forgot to do something.
We have a problem on our hands.
Yeah, man. We have a major problem.
Cooperate with the security forces is what we want to say to the citizens out there, and share the information that you have so that we can sort of curb this crime monster.
Yeah, man. Nip it in the bud, man.
It's out of hand, trust me.
Yeah.
We move right into WTF.
That's what the fact. And here we'll go on. So lemurs get high on bugs. That's right. So that might sound like a weird rock album title, but it's true. In the jungles of Madagascar, lemurs get a buzz by chomping down on a particular species of millipede that causes toxins to release, leading them to salivate and appear intoxicated. Now, besides getting them high, the bugs may also have another positive effect, acting as a pesticide to ward off mosquitoes. All right. One of them bugs they're on my place. National bird out, you know.
The lemurs look like a cute little species, actually.
Them cute, Richie.
Them have a vibe.
That cute, Richie. Richie, that cute.
Yeah, see, Jody's agreeing with me.
Lemurs cute, Jody?
I'm not sure that I'd enjoy the wet nose thing. All of them have this wet nose.
Richie.
Yeah, but outside of that, look at the eyes.
Richie.
That's a beauty of God's creation.
Richie,
if you
can't tell me say if you are go to your car and that
perch
on your car roof, if you are go approach your car.
How you call a lemur? Just make some noise. It wouldn't scare me, honestly.
All right.
Yeah, unless it's the middle of the night and those are the only eyes that you see. But that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. It just got it. Of course, tomorrow morning at 6:25, we'll have another fact for you.
That's right.
Inside of
What the Fact.
Time for update. Got a few of them for you.
Yes. Good morning, Bridge Nation. So, Shensia Skillibeng called up for Rolling Loud New York's 2022 lineup. Jamaican star Shensia and Skillibeng were revealed in the lineup for the 2022 New York installment of Rolling Loud, an event which is set to take place between September 23 and 25, best month in the year, of course, at Citi Field in Queens. The announcement happened yesterday. The hip hop festival said Skillibeng will perform on the Friday, September 23. His Crocodile Teeth collaboration with Nicki Minaj will be headlined there, so I guess he'll be performing with Nicki Minaj there. And Shensia will perform on Saturday, September 24, when A$AP Rocky will also be the headliner. So you know, it's a good look. It's a good look. Some really top name will be there: Busta Rhymes, Dream Doll, Fat Joe, A Boogie. So it's a nice little hip hop festival, and I guess because they, these two artists dabble not just dancehall, playing dancehall, but a little bit of trap and a little hip hop vibe. So it makes sense that they would be on this lineup.
I like it. It's good for the
kudos
culture.
to them.
Yeah, Wap Wap is definitely giving him a lot of presence in the US market. The remix, of course.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Well, yeah, so it's a good look.
So while we might find it hilarious, it's working for him.
Straight weapons.
Well, listen, speaking of the culture, of course, Richie, I know you're going to carry the story about the honorable minister making, that decision with the festival song competition. However, the opposition spokesman on culture and entertainment had something to say. That's Damian Crawford. He's saying that, listen, the Ministry of Culture has been reduced to being the Ministry of Events. Yeah, because he's saying that the whole vibe is looking like nothing short of just an event planning agency. He said all of this, that that this is just not what culture is. And he said this during a People's National Party divisional conference at the Bridgeport High School in St. Catherine. He said, what we are seeing now is with this embarrassing situation he's mentioning, the whole festival song competition, is the chickens coming out to roost. The chickens have come home to roost because we have not recognized a problem. He added, culture is the morals and values of the society. It is the beliefs and how we act as a society. So when them say a value and attitudes campaign, this should be coming out of the Ministry of Culture. When you say festival is because we celebrate what we want to keep and we don't celebrate what we don't want to keep. What is happening now is that our culture has been lost, our morals have been trampled on, and our values are nothing. Oh, this is coming from Damien Crawford.
Well, I guess the Minister of Culture heard him.
Yeah, wonder.
And she said, I'm going to make him eat his words.
So
I'm reading now a press release that came out of the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. And the Honorable Olivia Grange has announced that the Jamaica 60 Festival Song Competition will, in fact, go ahead.
Woohoo!
During the meeting of the Cabinet on Monday, it was decided that the competition should go ahead under amended rules, which will see the reopening of entries. The panel that usually selects the finalists for the Jamaica Festival Song Competition had said that it was unable to choose 10 suitable songs from among this year's entries. The panel gave the nod to 3 entries, which was not sufficient for a competition. Minister Grange said entries will reopen for a limited period of 1 week starting yesterday as the panel seeks to identify an additional 7 songs for the finals. Shells, you're thinking about entering?
Can I put out something in the shells? What you say?
Yeah, man. And
let's see.
who knows, maybe the first prize will be increased from 3 million to some bigger number.
See,
so all the more reason.
Oh, man, I'll try.
Minister Grange is encouraging people with a good song that they believe can rally the nation to submit their entries. She said, we are looking for that catchy, infectious or inspirational song set to a Jamaican beat that will be on the lips of every man, woman, and child this independence. She says, we are waiving the entry fee and we look forward to receiving entries by Tuesday, June 21 at midnight via the online entry portal at the JCDC website, www.jcdc.gov.jm. And the minister has urged entrants to pay attention to the comments of members of the selection panel who found that early entries contained inaccurate lyrical content, infringed copyright, was off-key, was poorly recorded, and even contained lyrics that glorified another country and culture. So it is back on the agenda.
I'm thinking about it. But it's going to be so difficult not to sing about Aki and Selfish.
No, look here, if the song now I can't selfish in it, I want it, so it better talk about beach, you better talk about our beaches, our river, and I can't selfish, but in a
some coconut
water, but it has to be creative. I feel that it should speak to my country, my island, everything about it.
Listen, if Aki and Selfish is not involved, there's no chance of winning.
It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense.
What I've been made to understand is that during the cabinet meeting, this program came up for mention.
What?
Makes sense.
So somebody said, but I hear Richie playing a couple of songs and they sound very good.
All right.
What is this about cancellation?
All right. All right.
See there? Enough said.
I didn't quote it verbatim, but that was the kind of sentiment that was expressed. So you don't talk.
Richie for national hero.
23 now before 7 o'clock. And it's that was update.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, up, give them my up.
So you know what time it is, right? It's time for Proverb of the Day. It's a really short and simple one.
Right.
And it says, our Proverb of the Day says, when cocoa ripe, it must bust.
Jojo, this is a morning show.
You know what? You know, I say no to them, you tend to go country now. Do you know what the cocoa look like?
Yes, I know what cocoa
You know, when it ripe, it busts.
I'm just saying, I'm looking forward to the meaning. That's what I'm saying. This is a morning show. So, what could this mean?
I don't understand why I keep saying it's a morning show because we're talking about cocoa.
Okay.
So when cocoa ripe, it must bust. The meaning of this proverb is, all will be revealed when the time is right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that one.
That's right. So when cocoa ripe, it must bust. And if you're in the country, you understand what that means. May I tell you about them young people here?
I'm
True.
sorry.
Anyways, we're heading over to the pet
Pet
peeve,
peeve.
right? So remember, pet peeves are things that others do that you may find annoying, irritating, or even upsetting. And we have a pet peeve to share this morning.
Good morning, the whole Bridge Nation, the whole Up and Go family. My pet peeve this morning is the taxi man will still squeeze 4 and 5 in the back seat in a pro box or a 4-seater. How can you get a fee increase? And if I charge more than the increase up to 50% of the usual fare, but I squeeze you when I back like say, oh, when I saw the things, see me. When Steve a ship go foreign back in the days them.
That was our pet peeve this morning. Yeah, that used to be very annoying. Well, I never had that problem because they know how them treat fat people already. So, may sit at the front if they're allowing you to sit in their vehicle, and make sure say unch up as much as possible, because 5 people have to run at the back, money have to make. But that I can understand how that can be a pet peeve, for persons, especially in the morning when you're going home. You put up with anything because you're really just trying to get home. But in the morning when you're dressed, you smell nice, you have to rub up with people. It's a whole different ball game.
I get the point that he was making, where he's saying that, listen, the fact that not raise fear but still want to each up around our back, that kind of unfair still. So I get it, but as you check the taxi man's perspective, money have to make.
Exactly. but be fair.
But
all of us need to be fair. Can we understand how the thing set? Most taxi men is almost like you are paying for gas. You're working just to pay for the gas to put in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So you have to make a profit, but be fair while doing so.
True.
So
Those were your proverb of the day and your pet peeve.
your pet peeve.
Thank you, guys. Shells, we have a very special guest that we're going to be talking with.
That's right.
He is the director of the Meteorological Service, and a good friend of ours, Mr. Evan Thompson, is joining us at this time. Morning, Evan.
Greetings, Mr. Thompson.
Good morning, Richie B. How are you doing?
Not too bad at all. And how are you?
I am well, thank you.
It is customary at around about this time you get a call from me wherever I am, so we can have a conversation about what we can look forward to in the Atlantic hurricane season. Early days yet. I don't know. Is it likely to be normal, above normal, active, super active? How would you describe what's ahead of us?
We really expect that this year we're going to have significant activity. It's most likely going to be a very active hurricane season based on all the factors that normally contribute to or influence the activity. We're seeing a number of them basically stacking up. So it seems like we will have an active year, although we really can't say whether, the impact will be over Jamaica or the Caribbean or where exactly these systems will develop. But most likely we'll have an extreme number of systems.
Okay. Greetings, Mr. Thompson. Shells here. It's an honor speaking with you, sir. Let me tell you this now. So, for clarification, right, when does the hurricane season begin and when does it end? And has there ever been this is just out of my curiosity, sir. Has there ever been a case where the season goes on a little longer than expected?
Okay, well, yes and no to that last question, but let me start first with the when the season actually starts and ends. In the Atlantic area, which is our area, it covers the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico. The season actually starts on the first day of June, and it continues through for 6 months until the end of November. That would be November 30th. In the Pacific area, it starts a little bit earlier on the 15th of May, but for us in our region, it's really still the 1st of June.
Okay.
And we have had over the past few years, actually for the past 7 years or 8 years, we've been having our first system developed before June 1. So we actually had our first named storm almost every year in the past decade start before the 1st of June. On one occasion, it actually occurred in January of that year. So we have had systems developing before the official hurricane season. And we've also had seasons where we have activity after the 30th of November. So it's also a possibility to have a system lingering right through after the season officially ends.
Yes.
Okay.
Have all yourselves, as weather prognosticators, determined yet how many storms? Are there named storms? And if so, how many at this stage?
Well, we have already assigned 21 names, which we normally do at the beginning of the hurricane season. We would have a list that has 21 names in it, starting from A and going all the way through to W, starting with letter W. And we would have those prescribed, basically, for whenever any system develops. So we start with the first one, A, but this year, we actually do expect that we could have as many as 21 named storms. So the list most likely is going to go very close to exhaustion again this year. It won't be as bad as the record years of 2005 or last 2020. We also had a number of systems that basically broke the number of 21, went ahead of or over 21. Are you still there, Richie B?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Yes.
Okay. Right. So we could have a very active year going very close to using up all the names on our list.
Wow.
All right. Now, Cat 5 is like a very, very powerful storm. Are you seeing in the forecast several of those as possibilities?
There is that possibility. The reality for us is that there is something we call climate change that is occurring. We're seeing a number of signs that indicate that we are having some impact from climate change. And one of those is that we will have more intense tropical cyclones, tropical storms or hurricanes develop. In the past few years, we have been seeing that we've had a number of Category 4 and 5 systems that have been developing, and the trend is that that is going to continue because of climate change and the global warming that is taking place. So it's quite likely that we will have some of those systems. Whether they will actually impact Jamaica or the Caribbean, we can't say at this time.
Do things kind of come to a peak at a particular time in the season? And if so, when?
Yeah, yes, that's right. We normally have at the beginning of the season, June and July, we would have a few systems developing, but it gradually increases in frequency and even intensity as we go into the middle of the season, August, September, and then even going into October. Usually the peak is round about the 10th or 11th of September. That's when we expect, that's the statistical peak. So most systems have occurred around about that time during the year, and then it would gradually decrease in frequency going through to November.
Okay. Let's spend a little time now talking about preparation, because that is key, isn't it?
That's right. We must be prepared, and we really ought to be prepared before June 1, because there is no surprise as to when the hurricane starts. So we should know that it starts on the 1st of June, so we must have things in place by the end of May.
Okay. And by preparation, we mean?
Well, first of all, mentally prepared, having a plan for your family, knowing, if this happens, this is what we will do. We have to have certain items on hand, ways of producing, or first of all, being able to hear what the forecast is and hearing updates of the weather. So we ought to have some kind of radio system that will allow us to hear even when we don't have electricity. So that's one of the things that we need to have. We need to have non-perishable foods in our cupboards, things that don't really need the refrigeration. We can keep them in cans in our cupboards, and if we are out of electricity for a couple of days, we'll be able to survive with the food that we need. So those are some of the things. Trimming trees close to the houses, ensuring that we don't have loose articles around the yard that could be blown about by the strong winds of the storms. We also have to ensure that we have the items that would be needed to batten down our windows. Should we have a major hurricane that moves into our area, we may need to do some of those kinds of work. Some hardware needs to be on hand as well.
Okay. Now, Mr. Thompson, is there any way for the public to stay updated? Are there any social media platforms that we can follow?
Of course, the Met Service does have a website at www.metservice.com. census.gov.jm. Still not in the best, it's not one of the best websites because it's actually up for upgrade right now. Okay. We're working on that. But it does carry the latest information. We do have our forecast on a daily basis. And whenever there are severe weather warnings, we also have those on that platform. But we also utilize Twitter, so it's at MetServiceJA. On our Twitter handle, so that is also available. We would post significant messages there as well. Of course, our ministry is the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, so the at MEGJC is also one way of getting our information. We would make sure that those warning messages are also posted there. So there are a few ways also. Not using social media, but just our telephone lines. 116 is our hotline. If you dial 116, you ought to get the latest warning message if there is one in effect at the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that you always, serve us very well, yourself and your team at the Met Service, and we are looking forward to hearing a lot from you throughout the season. Mm-hmm. Are you all mentally prepared? Your staff in place? Your equipment all working? Everything is all right?
We're trying our best to make sure that we're always prepared. The good thing is that we do get some tests from time to time. In fact, for the next couple of days, we do expect a slight increase in the rainfall. So, systems have to be in place to ensure that we can monitor, we can pass out the information as soon as it comes in. Warning messages being disseminated, whether through the media or otherwise. So we prepare ourselves. We have the staff on hand. We have the training that is necessary. And we do continue to have our own procedures to ensure that things remain on track as we go through the six months of the season.
You have been doing a good job. Thank you very much. Just before you go, Evan, when is the Saharan dust going to be leaving our shores?
Well, we would have some breaks going on and off, but especially if we get some rain, it usually breaks it. The humidity increase normally causes some break in that. But we will have this continuing for the next few months, on and off, getting these low visibility periods with the Sahara dust moving across. But hopefully it will not be so dense that it will create any significant harm.
All right. Evan Thompson, thank you so much. Have a great day. My regards to yourself and your team.
Thank you, all right. Take care. Both of you and, of course, all your listeners.
Most definitely. Thank you. He's the director of the Meteorological Service, and that is, of course, Mr. Evan Thompson. Right now, we have a very special guest that we'll be talking with, Shells. She's a Jamaican native, currently residing in Toronto, Canada. And she is already the author of some 8 books. Wow. The Chronicles of Jane, the Jane Print, and Teana's Children's Affirmations have in fact all landed in Barnes & Noble's, Chapters, Books A Million, Walmart.com, and about 56 other bookstores around the world. Wow. The girl that was once labeled as statistics to likely fail because of where she comes from has defied the odds, having her books grace bookshelves internationally. She has quite a story, part of which suggests that she was actually raised by gangsters. Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you more about it. I want her to tell and share her story. And so we say good morning and welcome to Up and Go, Kamelah Blair. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jamaica. It's so happy to wake up with you guys this morning. It's actually present to be in you guys' presence.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. And to hear your story, see your beautiful smile. We are quite intrigued by what your story really is. And so I'd like to ask you to share with us a little bit about that somewhat traumatic experience that you had when you were 6 and in growing up. What are some of the experiences that you had that you'd like to share with us this morning?
Most definitely, Richie. So in my first book, I released some things that were traumatic to me at a tender age between 5 and 6, where I had witnessed my dad's best friend commit a homicide right in front of our eyes and then leave me with a message saying, this is what happens to women when they tell their spouse or husband's lies. And he then proceeded to take a gun out of his waist and shoot my mom's best friend at the time, which left me speechless for a year and landed me back into Jamaica for 2 years at that age.
Wow. Quite a traumatic experience. How difficult was it for you to get out of that kind of mind in terms of the experience to get it out of your mind, really?
So, as you know, as a culture, we're taught whatever happens at home stays at home. So I was never able to express how I felt. It was just, she's a child, she's not speaking. We don't know what happened. We know the situation, but we don't know how to help her. The adults or the guardians around me never seeked professional help. So it was always me alone with my thoughts. In my early teens, while going to school, I started to write in my journal and releasing a few details of that traumatic situation. And then in my 30s, I actually went to therapy. So it wasn't too long ago when I really released this weight off my shoulders and weight off my heart.
Wow, Kamelah, and enough respect and congrats, to just sticking with it, sticking with that and coming through, and I know a lot of our listeners are relating to you right now, trust me. So congrats and enough respect. But I'm curious, so as it relates to, I realize that you said you wrote in your journal, and of course thanks to therapy you were able to unload. So it's safe to say that literature helped you through this, overcoming, the traumatic experience. Was that what helped develop this love for literature?
I would say it's one of the things. I really believe that writing or literature or being an author chose me. Again, we come from a community in the Caribbean where we don't really speak, or we're not very vocal. And then in this day and age, the children are so vocal sometimes. It's like, I could have never said that. So yes, by writing and keeping a journal and trying to hide it, although that journal was found a few times, but it was one of my major keys of making it through daily experiences.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit now, Kamelah, about your books. I mentioned that you have about 8 books, which seems to be quite a lot. You've been doing a lot of writing. Tell us a little bit about your books, where they can be found, and so on.
So I have 8 books. Chronicles of James is a series. I then have 3 motivational books and journals. I then have 2 children's workbooks, and those are, I think they're still available. They were sold out a couple of times because the kids are home. They're being homeschooled, so they were sold out a couple of times. And then my latest book is Teana's Children Affirmations. So these books can be found on Amazon, on my website, which is cojbooks.com or .ca, and of course, as you mentioned, Barnes and Noble's, Chapters, and a lot of the big American bookstores.
Yes, fantastic. Are you working on your 9th?
Can we get a horn? Can we get a horn? Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yes. So my 9th book will be out the anniversary of when I released my first book, which was July 23rd. And I will release my 9th book.
Okay. You're not giving us any details about that as yet, obviously.
Oh, definitely. This is exclusive. It's the morning. Good morning, Jamaica. So my 9th book will be available shortly. Yes. And it's actually business affirmation. As a businesswoman as myself, it's something that I find that really helps me get through the day, because as business and entrepreneurs, or I like to call myself an authorpreneur, there's moments. So I started my day and my business with affirmations. So yes, that it is.
All right, fantastic. All right, now you have an initiative called Library Behind the Walls. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So my sister friend and I joined a company that was already in the jails. This is a new jail that was built in Toronto. Their library content was very weak. They reached out publicly, but they weren't getting the biggest response, especially from the urban community. So my sister friend and I took it upon ourselves to collect masterpieces among the authors that are local and just donate them to them, and to build the library that the inmates then have stories that are mostly relatable to them, as most of the inmates are actually urban.
Oh wow. And so Kamelah, I always say this, Richie them always give me stick for saying this, but I'm a young gun, you understand me? And just giving your story, what you've been through and what you've accomplished, can you just, for the young listeners of Bridge Nation, can you just leave some encouraging words for them?
Absolutely, and I like that. So my encouraging words always to the young youth worldwide is never give up. Take what you know from the streets, apply it to Wall Street. We're rooting for you. These children nowadays are much more advanced. They just need the encouragement. So a daily routine, journaling, and believing in yourself, and tell yourself in the mirror every morning that thank you. Thank yourself the way you would thank a stranger.
Yeah.
I like that.
Wonderful words. Wonderful words. Really? Thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. I look forward to getting my hands on one of your books sometime soon. And I wish you good luck with the 9th coming up soon as well. Great talking with you. Have a great day.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right. Much love.
Thank you.
Kamelah Blair, ladies and gentlemen. She's an author of the Chronicles of Jane and Teana's Children's Affirmations and several other books.
Like she said she's an entrepreneur.
Yeah. That's
I like that.
Yeah, really cool. All right, now it's our pleasure to welcome to the Global Connection, which is live in Jamaica, live in the tri-state area. She is actually the sales director at iberostar Hotels and Resorts. And we say good morning and welcome, Kimberly Rayner. How you doing?
Hi, Kimberly.
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
All
Such
right.
a pleasure to be here.
So nice having you. Myself, Richie B. There's Shells.
Hello.
Here with us in Jamaica. DJ Roy is in New York City and is allowing us to be heard all across the tri-state area. You might want to say good morning to DJ Roy as well.
Good morning, DJ Roy.
Morning, Kimberly. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I see you have this good music going. I was bumping my head while you were on.
All right.
All right. Then we're doing what we're supposed to do, and we're also sharing information. So that's why we have you today.
That's right. And, I want to start by looking at this fantastic relationship that iberostar Hotels and Resorts has had for over 10 years with Reggae Sumfest. Tell us about this long-standing partnership with Reggae Sumfest and iberostar.
Certainly. Well, from the get-go, when iberostar broke ground in 2007 in Jamaica, of course, we wanted to be a part of the biggest reggae festival. And of course, when the organizers reached out, we were like, yes, we're ready. We want to be a part of this. And the rest is history. Every year we have supported in the greatest ways possible to make sure that this show goes well, to make sure that the artists are well taken care of. And of course, that the entire production is well executed. Yeah. So we have remained great partners with Sumfest, and I see this happening for a long time to come.
Yes, and Kimberly, yes, outside of accommodation, what else do you offer to the festival?
Certainly. Well, we have launched, we have been the host for the launch for the Reggae Sumfest. Again, this has been happening for years. For this year, we actually hosted the largest launch. We hosted over 250 persons. Of course, with the elimination of the Kingston launch, the Mobile launch was the grandest, and we were able to have a really successful show on I think it was May 19th. We hosted, everyone just really got a feel of what the festival would have been like. We got a taste of the artists that would be performing. So it was just an amazing experience to finally be out, to interact with everyone, and just to, get a feel of what the show would be like come July.
Yeah. Nice. Now, Kimberly, blessings once again. Shell's here. You guys have hosted some special guests over the years, myself included in the future. Just had to plug that in there. No, but as it relates to artists, over the decade-long relationship, do you guys have any favorites? You can leak any info, any special artists you guys hosted over the years?
Well, listen, all our artists are special to us.
Okay.
Carrie. Of course, when the show had an international aspect to it, we hosted the likes of Wiz Khalifa, we hosted Flo Rida, we hosted Usher, Chris Brown, of course. But from a local standpoint, of course, we've always been able to host our local performers, Spice, Barry's Hammond, the whole works. And nice. We have always made sure that accommodation, everything is on point to make sure that they have a great experience while they're here, so that they can do a great performance on the show.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I have personally lost lost count of how many times I've stayed at the iberostar, and there are 1 or 2 years as well, Shells, in the past where I even got an upgrade and was able to stay at the Grand.
All right. Again, we seem to have a connection.
Yes. What? Yes, it's one of my favorite places. And why don't you just tell our listeners a little bit more about the different facilities? I know there are like 3 different brands.
RJ, pull it down. Pull them down, RJ, because I think they're having some internet issues in.
All right, so we'll continue. We'll continue with Kimberly. Kimberly, tell us a little bit more about the facilities on your property. I know there are 3 different hotels within the property. Give us a little bit more details.
Sure. So here at iberostar Montego Bay, there's 3 hotels. There is the iberostar Rose Hall Beach. There's the iberostar Selection Suites, and there is the iberostar Grand Hotel. Now, the iberostar Beach and Suites properties, those are family properties. So, of course, if you're looking for a family vacation, those properties would be great options. If you're looking for an adult-only experience, then the iberostar Grand would be your pick. For Reggae Sumfest, we still do have a few rooms left. I would suggest that if you have not made your accommodation yet, that you jump on that right away because the rooms are going very fast. In fact, from the moment that we got word that Sumfest was happening for 2022, the phone started ringing. Persons were calling. They wanted to ensure that they had their accommodation secure because we knew that it was going to be a mad rush because everybody wants to come to Sumfest for 2022.
Yes.
So. And iberostar Beach, iberostar Selection Suites, and the iberostar Grand Rose Hall is what we have here in the Montego Bay, Jamaica.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is it safe to say, after all the success, is it safe to say that you guys are envisioning another decade with Sumfest?
Unquestionable.
Nice.
There's no question there. Again, once you have solidified this type of relationship, it doesn't usually, go so quickly. And again, because of the relationship, because both parties, benefits from this great partnership, it goes without saying. You'll definitely be here to stay for a long, long time.
Yeah. Right. I know you're coming up. We're still inside of a pandemic, and we know that there are many challenges that the COVID-19 pandemic would have posed. How are things now and going into the festival? What should we bear in mind?
Things are looking very good. In fact, it is still kind of surreal for me when I walk the property and I see, people on the pool deck. I see our restaurants full. I see, our bookings looking healthy. It's really surreal because it was a challenge during the pandemic. And even though we're still in it, we definitely see where things are moving in the right direction. We're seeing a very positive summer, and the upcoming winter is looking very, very good as well. So we are very happy that, quote unquote, COVID is behind us, and we are now ready to proceed with our lives and just make some money and ensure that we're able to pull through.
All right. I like the way she says that.
Yeah, man.
Make some money. Why not? All right. We have listeners here in Jamaica and all over the world. How can they make contact with you if they'd like to secure your services?
Certainly. So we can always make contact on the or direct lines. It's 876-680-0000. And of course, if you're having any challenges with getting through on our lines, you can always email our reservations office at crhre1@iberostar.com. That's crhre1@iberostar.com. You can always look on our website as well, iberostar.com, for any availability and rates for the festival or for any upcoming vacation that you may want to take. We are always available to take your calls and to answer any questions that you may have regarding accommodation.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Kimberly Raynor, sales director at iberostar Hotels and Resorts. She just happens to be at one of my favorite places in Jamaica right now. And we thank you for all that you have done. I think I'll be seeing you definitely very soon in time for the festival, which I'll be a part of. Thank you again, Kimberly, and all the best. All right? Give my regards to the entire team down there.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hosting you too.
All right. Thank you as always. Kimberly Raynor, Sales Director, iberostar Hotels, in serious partnership, a decade-long partnership with Reggae Sumfest. And as you heard, another 10 years? Right up their street.
Easily. Yeah, easily.